Dr. Carl A. Ross, Jr.
For a camper for sale. Oh, what would you done if you'd have got caught out on something like that?
I'll teach you to sleep in at least your underbreeches, won't it?
Yeah. Let me get.
Not to get out
get some of this Coca-Cola.
Out of bed in strange places. I don't know.
But you just sit around and, that's what we do on some of the trips, just talk about stuff like happened when we were growing up. I remember one time when I was a little kid standing around in the back room of Jones's store over at Spring Place. You know where that is. Yeah. They had a store right there across the street from the school. This is back in the late 30s when I was just starting off school. Mm-hmm. And although the teachers didn't like it too much, we'd go over there and buy chocolate drops and stuff like that. You could get a whole package of chewing gum for a penny with 5 sticks in it, and you go over there and do stuff like that. And especially when the well went dry and they didn't have any water there for a while, we'd go over and get the biggest soft drink we could find. Daddy'd give me a nickel, and we'd stand around over there, and when it got cold, these old codgers would come in from the countryside, and they'd just sit around and tell stories, and they'd tell all kinds of lies, which they'd say was the truth, and maybe some of them were telling the truth, but I wouldn't stake anything important on the fact that they were telling the truth. But they was having a big time. They sat there and play checkers while they were doing it, and there'd always be somebody that was the real king of the checker players, and they sit around there and play checkers and listen while these people were telling all those outrageous stories. Anyway, I thumbed through a magazine and came across a story in the magazine year, 2 or 3 years ago, and I recognized it as a story that some old guy told there while standing around, because it is interesting enough, and and besides, I like to hunt, and a lot of their stories were about hunting, and everybody's always trying to get the best dog or catch the biggest fish or do something like that. And this old guy's telling a story about a fellow that they all knew that I didn't know, but they told it as if it happened to somebody that they knew there. And this fellow had a big farm, and he had several people working on his place, and one of them was good with dogs, especially bird dogs, and this guy was always trying to get the best bird dog in the county, and he thought he was the best hunter they had in the whole county, so he wanted the best bird dog, and this fellow worked on his place to keep the dogs and feed them and look after them and make sure that they got a lot of exercise and things like that. And so when he wanted to take some of his city friends out hunting, he'd always have a dog that was in good shape, and it'd be one of the best dogs around, and he had a lot of land, so they had plenty of room to bird hunt. And so what that fellow said was that he'd heard back up in the mountains up in Tennessee that somebody up there had a bird dog that was the best bird dog anybody ever had. And when this fellow heard about it, he just had to have it. But he didn't like to go out and negotiate with these people about buying a dog. He wanted to send that guy that looked after the dogs there on his place to take care of it, because the guy knew more about bird dogs than anybody around. So he told him to go on and gave him some money. And so he went on out to Chatsworth and got on the train and rode up into East Tennessee someplace and got off up there and took a bus going over east into the mountains over there, and went as far as he could go on the bus. And then after he got off the bus, he asked where that guy was, and they told him this long way, and there's a dirt road went up through there, and somebody came along and he stopped him, asked if he could have a ride. And so they gave him a ride, and he rode along, and they showed him where to get off. And when he got as far as he could go with his ride, they pointed to a trail that went up into a little holler going up the side of the mountain there. And so he took off on up through there and walked way on back up along this trail, and finally came into a clearing and looked over there, and there's an old beat-up shack over there, and an old man sitting on the front porch, and some dogs were curled up under the front porch, because the house was sort of sitting up on stilts there. And so he went on up into the clearing a little bit there and yelled at the man, and the man heard him and said, "Come on, and 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 sit down." And so he came on up there and he sat down on the porch with the old man and told him what his business was. Said that his business was to see that bird dog that he'd heard that he had the best bird dog there that anybody had anywhere, and that he was interested in buying it for this fellow that down in Georgia there that liked hunting, that he worked for him, looked after his dogs for him, and he'd send him up there. So they talked for a while, and he tell him it's a pretty good dog. He said, well, he'd like to see it hunt then, if he didn't mind. So the old man went in the house and got an old beat-up shotgun, the old-fashioned kind with the outside hammers on it, and came out with 3 or 4 shotgun shells that were so old they looked green from the way the brass had corroded, and gave the shotgun and the shells to the guy that had come look at the dog, and he yelled, and the flea-bittenest dog you ever saw came out from under the house there. And then after the dog came out, they started on up the trail away from the house, and they went through the woods a little way, and then they came to a cornfield there. It looked like it might have been an acre or more in size, and the corn was down, and that's just stop here, and they did. The dog went out and it started running around the field in great big circles, and he kept getting the circles smaller as he came around, and the guy that had come up there to look at the dog looked out there in front of the dog, and he could see what the dog was doing was that he was herding a covey of quails that were out there in the corn patch, and he just kept getting these circles just getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and he herded those quails up to the center of the field out there, and there's a hole in the ground where there'd been a stump been pulled out, and there's a big hole going down in there that the birds all ran in the hole, and the dog ran up and put its foot over the hole, and then they walked up to where the dog was, and the old man that owned the bird dog turned to the guy with a shotgun and said, "What'll it be, singles or doubles?" I wish I could remember the rest of those stories they told me.
Daddy used to tell the one about the walking catfish.
The walking catfish. Well, they got walking catfish down in Florida now.
Yeah, well, this is before there was such an animal on the earth.
Well, I think y'all go to bed.
Yeah,
You've heard enough bedtime stories for now.
I am getting sleepy. I'm about ready to call it a night here.
Okay.
It's been a long day.
Well, I got to grade some papers, so I'll just go on. You want me to turn this thing off when I leave? Or just let it run out?
Just let it run out here.
Okay. I'll let it run out on you then.
That's nice.
All right.